There we go.
Good morning.
Ew. I'm gonna push this further back.
Just gonna do a final press real quick. So we can get started. Oh, see, this is why I wanted to lay it all out.
Oh my gosh.
I want them all going the same way.
I filled up my water, and then I left it over there.
Press that one for me. And this, since you're now in the way.
That's where I press. Sorry.
I'm trying to find. Good morning. We're just gonna wait a second. Wait for a couple people to hop on. This morning we are gonna do the 4th of July flag block from Lori Holt's vintage
Block along.
So this is a free pattern on her blog. So
It's not on our website.
not on our website. It's on her blog. Actually, it should be under resources.
It probably
Streeta
is.
does that.
So anyway, but the link's on here.
Yeah,
it's in the post. I posted about it last night.
So you should be able to pull it up. It's actually a combination of 2 blocks. It's her sparklers block, and then she took the sparkler block and turned it into a flag.
Oh, good morning from Ireland. To Ireland.
To
We're in Idaho. From Idaho to Ireland.
From Idaho to Ireland.
Anyway, one of the reasons I wanted to do this one is, you know, we just had Memorial Day, and it's summertime, and in summertime flag quilts are all the rage. But the most common issue people have when it comes to making flag quilts is sewing long strips together.
Right, because see, these are 1.5 inch strips. They're fairly narrow.
And sewing long strips together can get a little wonky.
It's easy to get wavy.
So,
yeah.
So we want to talk through that a little bit. And then, plus, it's just a really fun block. Our friend Debbie from our Lori Holt retreat last summer made this block last summer and turned it into a pillow.
And it was so
which
cute.
Is adorable.
So that's what I'm going to do with this one. I'm done.
So we're going to turn this one into a pillow because Debbie had a good idea.
Right.
And Jen is going to cut kits for this tomorrow.
Maybe. So tomorrow might be a little crazy. You want to tell them what we're doing in the shop tomorrow?
Tomorrow's Thursday.
Tomorrow we're going to cut kits.
Tomorrow's just going to cut kits.
Golly.
Friday could be a little bit crazy.
Right.
So at the beginning of the year, we decided to start having I call it our final Friday, shindig. And that is that we have our...
Basically, she doesn't work Fridays.
I don't work Fridays.
It all happens on
so
Fridays.
I always have on Friday.
Thanks
anyway,
for that.
So it's the last Friday of the month. We celebrate that month's birthdays. And so we have cupcakes. And if it is your birthday in that month, you get 20% off one item. In the shop, there are exclusions, like,
it needs to be a discountable item. So if it's one of those things that's not eligible for discounts anyway, like a featherweight,
then
no.
So anyway, it's your chance to buy yourself a birthday present. But because we missed March and April due to closure, this Friday is going to be birthdays for March, April, and May.
And clearance clear out.
Oh, I'm getting there. So if you had a birthday any of those 3 months, come in and you get 20% off one item in the store, and we will have cupcakes.
Probably not cupcakes. I think we're going to do like chocolate bars or something.
That's probably better than it's
something that's not as much like touchy your food.
Yeah, anyway.
Some treat. We'll have
and
a treat
then
for the birthday
it's
friends.
also our clearance clear out day, which means all the clearance is an extra 20% off, and remnants and scrap bags are half off. So it's our clearance sale day and our birthday sale day.
Yep.
So tell your friends.
It's a fun day.
Come in on Friday.
We will have extended hours.
Yeah, we'll be open till 6 for sure.
For sure. It may even stay till 7 if people are still here.
So if you have, if you work, we'll be
hopefully
open later.
you don't work between 10 and 6. If you do, sorry.
Yeah, let us know. Anyway, so that's the plan for Friday. But Jen and I, Jen will cut kits for this tomorrow.
I'm gonna make some little
I'd like
kits
to
for
put
this
a
one
binding
tomorrow.
in it too. That way you can turn it into a pillow or a little mini.
Right. It needs to have binding.
So when she has that done, I'll post it.
We'll let you know.
And you guys clearly all know how to find us on social media because you're here.
I hope you know.
There are people who are like, I don't know where to find you. And I'm like, anywhere on the internet. We're out there. Okay, so in true Lori Holt block fashion, we're going to press this open. Jen's working on piecing squares together.
Well, so the sparkler block is a lot of flip and stitch corners. once you make 4 patches. And because I don't want to be here until 12 doing this, I decided to get a go.
She's making her 4 patches first.
I'm making my 4 patches first. This is how Lori does it in her tutorial. Now, there are different ways to do that. But why don't you go ahead while I keep sewing and explain to them what our layout is here.
Okay, so I'm going to pull up the tutorial, so I'm going to ignore you guys for just a minute. Sorry.
Don't take it personally.
You know, I can only do so much. There we go. Okay, so as always, we have our fancy schmancy design boards because they are
awesome.
Just really, really helpful. Okay, so what Jen's done is she's taken her block. She's going to steal it back from me. And we end up actually making like flip and stitch patchwork flying geese. So we're just trying to get in around everybody. Because we had to move today because the sun was...
Oh my goodness, it was bad. Like we were standing where we normally do, and the sun wasn't in my eyes. But it was so totally backlit that we would have looked like in shadow.
Okay. So what we're doing essentially right now is working on the corner patch right here where you have these 3 of your whites and a blue, and then we have, she's got a couple more blue pieces stacked in here. Well, 3 of them, because we're going to do a corner here, a corner here, and a corner here after that's pieced together. So, okay.
That is stuff. And with making these, I mean, a lot of people would say something this length, no need to pin. I'm going to pin right here where that matters. The ends I'm going to adjust as I go. We like to match what matters. And if that spot's off, that's going to show up. And I like to sew quickly, but I also like it to be accurate. So I don't think pins should be totally avoided, but you'll notice that I did 1 instead of 3.
Okay, so now what we've done is we've made this 4 patch. Super cute little 4 patch. It actually goes up like this way. And now we're gonna do flip and stitch corners
on 3 of the sides.
Basically on the 3 white
pieces. And this is where you get a start.
So that's why in her corners right here, Jen has a stack of 4 blue instead of 1. She's done that to make it easier for her to lay it out.
Yep.
You'll also notice she's left these pieces, and it's because they're really good chainy in between pieces.
They are good chainy in between pieces. They are definitely for as I get to it.
As she needs something to sew and not do. You can sneak around, Sarita. It's okay.
Okay. Oh, you're not going to be able to do much work if you're not seeing. So I'm going to go ahead and just eyeball this corner to corner. I don't have a seam guide on my machine at the moment. But these are 2-inch squares. So it's not that bad to eyeball and still get accuracy.
Are you getting your reds in all the right spots? Okay, one of the things you can always do is put it back on.
Yes, it's always a good idea to lay it back down.
So she's done these 2 pieces because we've got 2 different backgrounds here. One has blue and one has red in it, and so I'm putting making sure the reds are staying on the inner part of the block.
I didn't bring my bigger scissors.
That's okay.
So it's always a good idea to lay it back out just to make sure. Sorry, it's a really bad allergy day today. So.
Yep. Anyway.
So I'm not really sick. I'm just dying. That's all.
She's just dying.
Okay.
So the sparkler block, it's a lot of little pieces.
It is a lot of little pieces, but you know,
Jen and I pretty much love little pieces.
Block.
So it works out. So we've got 1 corner on this one. There it goes. It comes back right here.
Right. So if you have a handy dandy assistant like I do, you just let her press and put it back where it goes. If you don't have a handy dandy assistant like I do, then you're going to have to do your own pressing and putting it back where it goes.
But it really does help to consistently put it back.
Especially for chain piecing, if things are just laid out, right, it doesn't take as much brain power.
Yes. Trying to keep track.
Which is really fun too, because, yeah.
Yup.
Yup.
Your other corners.
Do these Now, I'm not worrying about what direction everything is as far as the lettering here, because I think that's fun of the part of the scrappy.
Yeah.
When we get to the
stripes, we'll talk about that a little more.
Then I am gonna care. Now, that being said, if it matters to you,
then
take the time and do it. There's not a wrong answer there, you know. I think you need to make yours how you want it and not worry about what other people do. So, I'm normally really fastidious with that kind of stuff.
You can tell because she used the word fastidious.
Well, I could say anal, but fastidious sounds so much nicer.
Whatever. Sounds so much more fastidious.
My sisters make fun of me and my words.
Yes, we do.
Always have.
I know you should be used to it.
I know, I am. I'm never surprised by it anymore.
I'll clip your corners.
Okay. You clip my corners. Thinking about what I'm doing.
I guess that's okay. Oh wait. Well.
So, flip and stitch, that's what this is. Now, guys, as I was cutting this out last night,
I realized you could just make half square triangles.
Right. And I'm going by her tutorial, so I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I'm going by it for this because this is her project.
If you wanted to do this making half square triangles, you would cut half as many and cut them 2.5 inches, and then they would finish.
So the easy way to do this is instead of 2-inch squares, cut 2.5-inch squares.
And half as many of them.
Half as many of them, and voila.
You've done the same thing with flip and stitch.
We've done it without any flip and stitch. So it's really a more effective way to do it. So that's what I would be doing if I wasn't following somebody else's pattern. If you want to know how that's done, feel free to refer to our half square triangle video. We still have a half square triangle cheat sheet on our website.
Yes,
it's under resources, tips and tricks. So if you want to know what size and exactly how to do that, we have that information. This goes over here.
I didn't. Oh.
That's why I'm confused.
Oh.
I was like, I haven't put this block together yet. And this where really, the more you do this, the more you're going to be comfortable looking at a pattern and deciding.
Oh, I would do it this way.
No,
this was done.
I like
so,
the idea, but not this way.
Yeah.
I don't think this is a bad method. To me, it's probably a little easier. Maybe it's a little less brain power. I don't know.
But it uses more fabric.
It uses more fabric. I mean, I had to cut way more squares than I need, and I'm going to have a lot more waste.
So it's just really kind of up to you. But no, I
mean, when we cut the kits for this, we'll go ahead and do it per her directions, because I don't want to write new ones, especially not because she's already done this. Lori came up with something great, and it's hers. But, you know, not my preferred method.
I even prepped it for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I must be getting slow.
Okay.
So,
I'm still pressing open. At this point, this is the last bit on this corner block. I'm going to go ahead and put some best press on it.
Yeah.
And I like to put best press on the back side. I don't know why. Maybe it makes me feel like my seams are even flatter.
You know, I was ironing a very old quilt the other night to prep it for long arming. And I have never used so much best press on a quilt in my life, but I did it almost all on the back because the seams needed that stability.
It kind of helps with that extra flattening.
So
with all
it's definitely not something I do.
So here's our cute
all
little
the
corner.
time.
We're gonna put it right
there.
Here,
where it goes.
Where it
Except
goes.
it goes like this.
Oh, I inverted.
See, these are the stars.
Yes. You're right. You're right.
Okay, guys, I had to bring my kids with me this morning, and I can just hear my 7-year-old in the back laughing and thinking that the movie they're watching is hilarious.
Oh, this is hilarious. Okay.
Well, it's Despicable Me, so it is
So
rather
we
funny.
are making a flag, Tilda. This is from Lori Holt's Vintage Block Along, so it's a free tutorial on her blog. The link is in the
it's in the description on this
video
video.
description,
So you don't even have to look it up.
We made it easy and put it there. But this is a flag with, instead of just a big blue corner or a big blue square or star fabric, where
it's gonna have
fancy little
what
star.
Lori calls her sparkler block. If you read her blog, she'll tell you that Liz is throwing my stuff on the ground. That she deliberately, I can talk, named it the sparkler block because she knew she was going to use it for her flag.
Yep.
Though really, you could use any kind of a star block. This one's
Yeah.
just a little more decorative.
Could do a simple carpenter star.
One of the things that I think is really fun about this, and I definitely recommend visiting her tutorial just to see this. She used this block that, like I said, the week before in her sew along with different coloring, and she used like 5 different colors to make the star.
Yeah.
And so when it came time to do it this way, and she went to like 2 colors, it changed the entire look of the block, even though it was absolutely just the same block.
Yeah. Color selection.
Color placement makes such a big difference. And I feel that, it's not with anything. I mean, if you want, you want a red, white, and blue quilt, well, pick any quilt and then select red, white, and blues.
And it can become, yeah.
I get a lot of, you guys are on Facebook, if you're watching this, people who ask, I want to see a purple quilt. I want to see a black and white quilt. I was like, well, pick a pattern and then buy black and white fabric. Yeah. And you will have a black and white quilt. Because that's literally all it takes. The pattern doesn't have to be written to be those colors. A couple years back, it seems forever ago. It really was more like a year ago. Liz here decided to take a Thimble Blossoms pattern by Camille Ross Kelly, who is known for happy colors and white backgrounds. And then she used Allison Glass fabric on it, which are brighter colors, with a gray crossweave background. And it completely changed the entire look of the pattern. And it was kind of fun because people would come in the shop and they say, where's this pattern? I want to make this quilt. And we'd pull the pattern off the wall and they say, that's not this pattern. It's like, it is this pattern.
It is.
It just didn't look like it anymore.
Yeah, you changed
because the colors were so different.
Totally
and that's
different.
a really fun thing to play with. I mean, as much as you guys know us, we love our kits. We make a lot of kits. It's a great way to get a quilt all ready to go, put together, everything coordinates. Life is easy.
But it's really fun to play with.
But it's really fun to play with.
It still needs a corner.
Color.
No, it does. Yeah, it does.
Oh, yeah, it does.
That's why I put it there.
Thank you.
Anyway, it's fun.
This is why we're both here.
But,
correct each other.
Hey, Debbie, we're going to turn this into a pillow like yours.
Yeah, we're copying you, Debbie. Thanks for the idea.
Because, well, not today. Today we're going to make a block.
Right. And then
We'll
I'm
show
going
you
to turn
the
it
pillow.
into a pillow. Right.
Because it's going to be so cute.
It's going to be so
We're almost done.
Almost done.
We're down to almost a 9 patch.
Right? And that's the fun, is everything eventually turns into like a 4 patch or a 9 patch.
Yeah.
Which is why that's one of those things I like to cover when I do my intro classes. I'm like, you will only make 1,000 of these. Like, all the time. Every quilt turns into a 9 patch. Or a block.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually. Right. I'll trim that. Ooh, hold on. Alright. A couple more seams and then we are on to strips. So a few tips while I finish this right here. When it comes to sewing strips, step 1 to get your strips to sew straight would be to cut straight. Yes. I know that sounds ridiculous, but cutting is where
it's not meant to be.
Cutting is where a lot of people struggle. The more I teach the beginner classes, the more I see that this is where a lot of mistakes happen. I mean, I won't go as far as to say most, but we're getting there. I mean, a lot of mistakes happen in cutting.
Mm-hmm.
The more accurately you cut. And so if it's not cut accurately, you're going to struggle to sew accurately. So to cut these nice long strips without them wavering all over, I mean, my first tip would be starch it. Best press.
Yeah.
Starch
is gonna
flat.
Gonna be nice and flat on your cutting mat.
Well, it's also a size error. I mean, and that's something to consider, to remember, is that the best press also asks as a sizer. And what that means is it makes it stay its size. It's not going to stretch or shrink.
To me, it's part of the reason I don't pre-wash fabric.
Right.
Fabric comes with sizing in it. Some people don't like to feel it out on their hands, but it does make it easier to work with.
It definitely makes it easier to work with. So I spray it. I want it flat. And I mean, do you ever see it where, you know, you cut one side of it and then you turn it over and it's still like traveling a little bit on your mat when it's a long strip? That happens all the time with narrow ones. So, you know, that's where a little bit of sizing can make a big difference. Sizing spray. So I would go ahead and do that every time.
Yeah.
Every time.
It's good to start ahead of time. The other thing you can do, not as much with this, but in general, is if you can cut your strips length of fabric instead of width of fabric.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that doesn't work for everything, but we've been over it before. Width of fabric has quite a bit of stretch. Length of fabric has a lot less stretch.
Right.
By length of fabric, I mean along the selvage, along that grain line.
Right. It will
and
help.
So,
and so
if you're doing a whole flag quilt, and it needs like 18-inch strips or 12-inch strips, right. I cut an 18-inch strip with the fabric, and then I turn it sideways, and I cut all my strips from there, instead of cutting a whole bunch of 1.5 or 2-inch strips and then cutting those down.
That way your strips are
First of all,
length of fabric.
When you're cutting a whole bunch of them, it really does
is
save
faster.
fabric,
well,
and it's faster.
Then you don't waste, you know, I had a bunch the other day where I needed a bunch of 18.5-inch strips. Well, you know how many I get out of with the fabric of that? 2.
Yeah.
Which takes time. You know, it's a little irritating. Plus, I waste several inches. So if I need a lot, I will subcut.
Yeah. Anyway, length of fabric is just really a trick. If you can do it helps. When you're doing something scrappy like this, it's not as much of an option.
Right.
And so if you need to do it out of your fat quarters, you can still cut length of fabric.
Ooh, that's
out of
a fun
quarters.
idea. Tell them what length of fabric a fat quarter is.
Length of fabric on a fat quarter is the same thing. It's 18 inches. That's the 18-inch width of your fat quarter.
Right.
You should, if it's a fat quarter, you should have a selvage, one side or the other, and that'll tell you your length. And if you're still not sure, seriously, tug one side, tug the other side, and see which one stretches more. The one that stretches more is your width. The one that doesn't stretch is your length. So, anyway, it really does make a difference. I think, in fact, I'm about to cut out a quilt that we're going to be doing for a sew-along later this summer. And she has big, long sashings that go vertically through it. And the very first thing you cut on that quilt is the sashings, because you cut it length of fabric, and then what's left over will sub-cut into 2.5-inch squares for all the little piecing.
Right.
But that way you get your big pieces and you get them right.
Mm-hmm. Anytime it's narrow, that is the way to go. Is to try and do length.
There are people who will insist that everything should be done along the grain. Everything should be length of fabric. I'm not sure how that works, because something has to go the direction of the width. But anyway, the long really, borders and sashings, it really can be very helpful. At the end of the day,
everything you cut is going to go with the fabric and length of fabric.
The question is the part that you're going to manipulate the most.
Right.
And we're going to sew the long area, so we're going to manipulate that the most.
Now, unfortunately, as far as today goes, not an option, because I cut these out of my scraps. The other thing is, see these cute little texty trips? If I went length of fabric, I would have the words, or the print.
The print.
Script. I specifically didn't do that. Not just because it was more fabric, but because then I would really have to be careful with my cutting to make sure, not that I was going with the grain of the fabric, but that I was going with the printing. And the printing isn't always perfectly straight.
So you'll notice that if you bought printed plaids and stuff.
Right. The other reason is, if my seam did get a little wobbly, I mean, that's going to be like a flashing light billboard. Like, your seam isn't perfect here with that kind of a pattern. So deliberately cut it the other direction. Because then it's so cute, but it's scrappy and there's less pressure to try and make it now, perfect. When it comes to sewing these together, I'm going to start with these smaller ones here first. I'm going to nudge them into the right place.
You scratch your fabric.
Scratch your fabric. I mean, I don't even have fingernails. Just put them in the right place. I'm going to pin.
Yes.
I mean, these are 13.5-inch strips. These ones are 20.5.
That's a long strip of fabric, and it's gonna manipulate.
It's gonna be prone to travel. I mean, even just a little bit. It would be really easy for this piece on the bottom to wander and end up 1/8 of an inch away. And then,
it does.
And then, you know, I can't see it. And then my whole thing's gonna be wonky, and I don't want it wonky.
Part of the reason that happens, though, is you're between you normal piecing with a presser foot. You have feed dogs underneath, and that's what moves your fabric forward. It's not your foot. It's the feed dogs underneath. While the presser foot is pushing your top level down into it. What that means is that your fabric is only getting moved one direction.
Right. The bottom fabric is directly being moved, and the top fabric is being moved
with it.
But not
by virtue of the presser foot pushing it down onto there.
Right.
So, because of that, I don't know if that happens to you, it happens to me, the top fabric tends to stretch out a little bit.
Oh, my bobbin ran out.
Oh, well, that's gonna
good thing I have another filled one right here.
Anyway, so the top tends to stretch out a little bit.
And it's, yeah.
And but I don't know what it is. It happens less when I pin.
Well,
but if I just lay it out,
I'm helping it all travel together. By pinning.
But if I just lay out my layers, the top layer travels more. If I don't pin. And that's by virtue of using a presser foot. You can get a little bit more accurate if you're using a walking foot. You just have to deal with using a walking foot.
Part of the challenge of using
the
walking
accuracy
foot is
of the quarter seam.
You don't have a 1/4-inch foot usually on your walking foot.
Yeah.
And I don't know about your walking foot. Mine's a pinhole. So I can't usually see what's coming as well as I'd like to.
Tilda, yes. As rulers wear and the lines start to wear, and I don't know about you, I've chipped the corners of my rulers.
Yeah, I do.
You can get less accurate if you can't get just the right line. That is honestly one of the reasons we really like the Quilter Select rulers, is because the line is so fine. You can see exactly where the line is, whereas some of the other rulers have really thick highlighted lines.
The line is like a 1/16 of an inch
and it's
wide.
like, what part of the line am I supposed to be on?
Is it the center, the edge, the other edge?
Yeah. So if your ruler is a little worn, that can definitely affect.
Oh, it can totally mess with your accuracy.
And that's not to say you have to buy a new ruler. Maybe you grab a ruler and figure out exactly where it needs to be.
Right. Use a fine tipped Sharpie
and draw a new line. But yeah, rulers wear, the pictures on them wear. Jen's sewing over pins.
Slowly, carefully.
I'm just saying, that's against her rules. So
it is against my rules.
So I have to mention it because she's... I don't believe you've had it for 32 decades, but I believe 2 decades. Got it. I was like, I know decades. You were not that old. I have met you. Okay, 2 decades. Yes. So rulers do wear. It's a fact. Everything wears out eventually, you know.
Well, I mean, it's like, you know, like, so these are my favorite pins. They're silk pins.
Pins
they're
have
very
a lifespan.
fine.
Did you know that?
I mean, they're gonna get dull. I mean, it's like your sewing machine needle. It can only hit fabric so much before the fabric dulls the needle. But because
our grandmas had that little strawberry attached to their tomato pincushion. Did you know that's why that was there?
Yeah, that's a sharpener.
It's a sharpener. It's full of
steel wool.
Yeah.
But even so, like, I know that the pins I like are fine. What that also means is they're more likely to bend,
they don't live as long.
They get damaged, and they're not going to last my lifetime. So I'm just going to have to buy new ones.
Her ends are just right, you guys. They're meeting up at both ends. Seriously, starch, pin. Now, we'll see how well she keeps up with that, especially with the 20-inch long strips.
Yeah.
What I will tell you is if one ends up a little bit off, you're going to square up your block at the end.
Right.
So as long as you're not traveling like crazy, it's really not the end of the world.
Right.
But we're going to try and stay pretty close.
Anyway, I have to put that back because I had a layout.
Yeah, she's got it plotted, so we need to...
Well, because, you know, I didn't want, like,
the solid top one?
This is the top.
Oh, you got them backwards.
It goes like this.
I was like, why is it ending on a white strip? It's because it goes like this. It goes like that. I'm feeling better now. I was like, that's not what flags look like.
No, it's not what flags look like. You're absolutely right.
It's made like 15 flag quilts. Not really. It just feels like it.
Just feels like it. I was
Anyway,
confused.
but flag blocks are fun. There's simple ones.
They really are. I mean, and
there's
you could do stripes and
you
stars.
can get complicated. Camille, Nimble Blossoms, her stars and stripes pattern is always really popular. It is a simplified one. There are fewer stripes.
Right.
Which, you did that wrong.
What? I did do that wrong.
That
You pinned
was
it for
there.
me.
I know, you laid it out. I'm going to unpick something.
Okay,
real fast.
I'm going to sew some strips while she
Jen
unpicks.
sews strips together. Anyway, let's see, it happens to us.
So
anyways,
you pick it, pull it out and start again.
But yeah, there's great flag patterns out there.
There's some really good ones. I mean, and they're simplified and,
I really liked, I made it last year, or earlier. When did I make it? Adidas Atara's Made in USA quilt. It is, a pattern like this one where there are the 13 stripes. That's one thing people like about it, is it is 13. It's the full 13 stripes. It's not fewer. But this is because it's 1.5 inch strips like this, so it's a little bit more challenging to get your strips just right.
Right.
But seriously, also just smaller piecing somehow feels more accurate to me a lot than
I love little pieces. I like thin pieces. You know, I'm definitely less comfortable when they want me to cut like a 6.5 inch strip or an 8.5 inch strip.
Yeah. My accuracy goes down when they get bigger.
It does. I don't know why. Maybe it's because this is where I started. I've always liked the little pieces. Maybe.
Sorry.
Make me
Facebook
happy.
notifications.
I'm not. So you guys, this time I seem to remember that I had pulled up the tutorial because I'm like, I'm all ready, and it was on my phone. And then it was like, wait,
Use my phone.
we'll use my phone to shoot this. I was like, Liz, I need the tutorial pulled up.
It's like, oh, I'll pull it up on my phone. And I'm like, wait, I always watch it on my phone, so I know what you're saying. I left the iPad at home because it's my kid's last day of school.
Luckily,
technically,
this is a very,
and they all have their last school hangouts.
It's like that with anything, you know.
Jen and I have made enough Lori Holt blocks that once we have it all laid out, we don't look at the instructions again.
No,
and it's
actually that was kind of funny at our retreat last summer.
Standard.
Because somebody was like, "Oh, you're a show off," and Lori even responded to her and said, "No, she just knows how to do my blocks.
Yeah, she knows my methods."
Because at the retreat when we were done, you know, people were like, "Hey, look, my block. This block is done. You know, for the particular sewing of the day." And Liz and I got some guff for being fast.
Just I got nothing else.
It was kind of fun because then Lori was like, "Now they just know how to do this."
And I was like, "That's right.
Thank you." No, but I mean, it's like with anything in the world. The more you do it, the better you'll get at it, and the faster you'll be. But if you expect to be zooming out of the, out of the gates, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Actually, that's where I see a lot of beginners struggle. Is,
they
expecting to be fast, or they want to be fast, and so they're trying to keep up with others around them, or even just in their heads, a perceived speed at which they should go, and because of that, steps are skipped, or
missed, or
they're. I mean, it's like when we do the kids classes. You know,
the
they want to
kids
so
want to be
fast.
done.
They want to be done. I mean, they want to make it, but they want it done now.
Yeah, and it's like, nope, and I did it with my daughter the whole time. I'm like, slow down.
Right. I mean, there's the top of their seam starts out great, and then they're so ready to be done with the seam that, they're all over the place by the end of it.
Yeah. People do it.
And you know what? Grown-ups are the same way.
Yes.
It's not just kids. We're like, I want to see the finished product. We're so excited to see the finished product. And, as much as we like to work quickly, we like to get it done, and we do work quickly. There are workarounds that we like, and then there are, thanks for the word workaround, Sally. It makes me feel better. And don't say I'm cheating or lazy. But there are ones that we won't skip. And so for me, one of those in making this block is I'm not going to skip pinning my strips.
Yeah.
You know,
and yes, you could easily sew it together without. It just ends up so much more accurate if you do it. So it's even Jen and I who like to go fast because it's how we are.
Right.
And if you've followed us for very long, you know that. But we like to go fast. But this is not somewhere where we cheap out and go fast.
Right. Because
Okay.
I'm just going to end up in trouble for it. It's just going to end up being a mess.
Okay. Sorry, we might get interrupted in a sec.
I think the front door's still locked.
I don't know. Just waiting for him to shake it. There he is. Shaking the
There he
front
is.
door.
Nope.
Okay. All good.
Someday it will become obvious to the
Guys,
general
I had
public.
a Jackson's employee come in here this morning. No
She was
joke.
clearly like filling in for somebody or new.
Thanks, Dave.
But she's
I feel like you're a celebrity because I see you doing press conferences that aren't quite the happiest press conferences.
No, he doesn't do happy press conferences, does he?
Not the ones I've seen, but yeah. Thanks for checking in, buddy. But yeah,
That's funny.
he says he feels like he knows celebrities, and I'm like, I feel like I know a celebrity because I see you on the news.
Right? And then I feel old because how on earth are people my age on the news?
Jeez Louise. Because I am old. Whoosh. Anyway, okay, see, all fixed.
I still like to think I'm like 24. I'm not.
Anyway, okay, back at it. She's working on her long strips. We're just gonna keep throwing the strips together. It makes a fun. I really do like this in pillow form. It'd be a cute wall hanging, just like the Easy Piecing grid was that we did a few weeks ago. I don't know when that
I don't know. Sometime during the whole like non-existent couple of months that happened.
That's true. You're right, Dave. We can't all talk quilting and chickens. I don't really talk chickens because
I talk chickens.
I hate birds. But
Dave has chickens too.
oh, okay. Well, see,
That's why.
got it. Anyway,
Liz hates birds.
I do. I hate birds. My husband and his family, they're always like, "Ooh, look at that bird. What's that bird?" And I'm like, "I don't know." My kids will ask me, "What's that bird?" And I'm like,
You're like, I don't
Do I
care.
look like
it's
your
just
dad?
gonna poop on my
Go
car.
ask your dad.
Just go away.
"Yeah, I am not." My kids like her birds, so we just leave.
Yeah,
it
they come to my house and play with my chickens.
Yes.
And like seriously play with my chickens.
Yeah, they're like pets.
They're fun.
We had chickens when I was a
They're
kid, and I
snuggly.
hated them.
Well, those were not snuggly. But we didn't really spend time with them the way that
Because they're chickens.
Hey, my chickens they respond to their names. They know who they are.
That's creepy.
And they know my voice.
Okay, that still just sounds
Chickens are
creepy.
smarter than we think they are. Oh good, somebody else is here for gas. Guys,
It's the comedian story of my life.
guys, someday we will not be considered a gas station by the general public.
Yeah, when we move.
Or paint the windows.
I know. I've
No,
been
I think
meaning to
people
get.
would still paint.
There's a sign company in Nampa that has. They do the window coverings that you can still like get all the light through, but they cover up. And I kind of want to put. Dave says hi to you too, Sarita.
I did.
And I kind of want to get some made that are like giant quilt blocks to go all the way around. So like, look at my
So-
barn quilt.
So it's not a seasonal thing.
So that maybe, just then, people will figure it out.
I don't know. I
But
don't know.
Sincerely doubting my faith in humanity is kind of.
Did you see that meme? It was one of the best ones on the internet so far. It was like Thor,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's like something about my faith in humanity.
Well, I've lost all faith in like at what level is your faith in humanity? And it's like I look both ways at roundabouts. Like,
This is how much I trust my fellow man.
and it's true, I do look both ways at roundabouts.
Well, where I live over in Nampa, there's a lot of one-way streets, and I can't tell you how many times. I mean, people are laying on their horns, and some idiot's turning on the wrong way onto the runway street. I mean,
Yeah.
they're not really stupid; they just don't know the area. But
Still.
there are signs, and that's one of the rules for driving, right?
Kind of like the painted lines on the ground.
Right. It's one of the rules for driving. You must read signs.
Anyway, it cracks me up. I live out in a more rural part of Nampa where we are nothing but roundabouts instead of four-way stops, which I love, by the way, because
I love it. I drop my kids off at her house.
I believe roundabouts are
and
a good
it's
thing.
round
Sorry
awaits
to
all the way
disagree.
into Meridian. I don't have to stop
It's
at
way
all.
faster. But anyway,
But only if you know how to use them. If you don't know how to use them, everybody behind you who does know how to use them is swearing at you.
It's funny because we grew up in Canyon County, but went to school and everything in Ada County.
Mm-hmm.
And I always heard guff about 2C drivers. At this point out in Nampa, 1A drivers and roundabouts are not friends. I'm always like, stupid Ada County people that can't figure out a roundabout. Which is hilarious because we always grew up laughing about 2C drivers sucking. And now it's just like 1A drivers can't do roundabouts. Like, that's what I've learned.
We really do love you.
I know. It's just,
These are just generalizations. Don't take it
personally.
Though I do still hear about 2C drivers all the time. And I'm like, mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll be done making fun of people's driving. That's cute, Sheila.
What?
She had chicken. She used to name her chickens after her family.
Oh, well, I don't name them after family because sometimes we have to kill them.
So what do you do when you have to kill your chicken named after your
I really don't want to kill like the one that my nephew named after himself or something. That would be unfortunate. Though it was funny. I think I mentioned this. My brother borrowed my chickens.
He did?
Yeah.
Jake?
Rick.
Rick did? For his garden?
No. For
Why?
video.
Oh.
My brother's like a
That sounds
professional YouTuber. But it was
That
fun. I
makes
got
more
a
sense.
random text from him saying, "Hey, can I borrow your chickens?"
And you're like, sure. Sure?
Like, for what purpose are you borrowing my chickens? No. But it's funny because speaking like birds have personalities. He posted a picture of them in his office because
He put him in his office?
He put them in his office. It's for a video. I don't know what it
Did you
is.
have to clean up after them?
I'm sure they did. I told him, I'm like, if they perch on something, they'll poop. That's when birds poop, is when they perch. Anyway, that's why when you park under a tree, you get pooped on. Birds poop when they perch.
Good to know.
Mm-hmm. So don't park under a tree.
I like to park under trees. It's
Then
not
expect
as
poop.
shady. Whatever. We only have like robins and stuff at our house.
Mm-hmm.
But
it was funny because like he's standing there and most of the chickens are like nervous and huddled together on the floor. And one of my chickens, Polly, is up high on a table like looking over his shoulder at the camera. And I was like, that's so typical for her. Because that's how Polly is. She's a little prima donna.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you say so.
It's true.
I didn't know there were different breeds of chickens. Let's put it that way.
You know, but I think we're that way with most animals we don't know. Like, I think cats are gray or orange, and cats are
Are
cats
all orange
are-
just orange and cats all orange and
People
stripy?
talk about a tabby cat, and I'm like, that's a cat, right?
That's just a general description of a cat.
I didn't
right?
realize that had anything to do with coloring, or face shapes, or size, or
I got nothing.
this is what happens when you're not a cat person. You don't know.
Okay. So I'm still pressing open, you guys.
Partly just for consistency. Now, guys, when it comes to the strips here, you can totally press to the side. If
Yeah.
it were me pressing, that's what would be happening.
I'm pressing it open because it's gonna have to meet up with this, and I don't want
It's
any
true.
extra bulk.
Especially the shorter strips are going to have to meet up with that.
And because I know that it's got to meet up there, and there's some bulkiness to that block.
Well, I mean, if you look at this block, there are a lot of pieces in that. It's a beautiful star.
There's a lot
I
of
love that
seams,
star.
a lot of pieces.
But there's a lot of pieces.
This thing does not want to stay close. Alright, well give me the next one and I'll pin it. You're on slow.
Here, why don't you pin this long one for me?
Yes. Okay.
This goes here. I guess I could get rid of my design boards that are there.
So, same thing with pinning. I like to start at the ends.
Yep. Match up the ends. Match what matters.
And then we'll ease it through.
And then make it fit. Because there is going to be some adjustment on it here. I mean, fabric is an organic product. It has a life. I don't mean organic as in no pesticides, guys. I mean, it's a plant. It was made from a plant. It's not manufactured with chemicals.
This is not polyester.
That being said, it is still made up of chemicals because you know what? Everything's made up of chemicals.
no. I'm like, don't
No,
you love that?
it's chemical free.
No, it's not.
Air is not chemical free, folks.
Dangerous ones, maybe.
Dangerous, right. Sorry.
Anyway,
Nerds,
no soapbox.
no soapbox.
My mom used to say when with like the organic stuff or like all natural, and she's like, arsenic's all natural. I'm like, yeah, you are correct.
Did I tell you about the lady who was like, I said that there were arsenic in apple seeds, and her response was quite literally, why would they put that there? They put that there.
I had somebody say the same thing about why is there gluten in flour? Like, why would they put gluten in flour? I'm like, because it's a natural part of the wheat?
They didn't put anything anywhere.
Oh, sorry. Dave says he didn't come for a science lesson. Dave, aren't you supposed to be working?
Right, aren't you supposed to be prosecuting somebody or something?
Anyway. We're science geeks, okay?
We're nerds in general, and people who are around us tend to get used to the random information we spew.
And okay.
No, but that was one of my best days. It was like they put arsenic in apples. I don't know what big major corporation you think is trying to destroy the world, but arsenic's a naturally occurring product in apple seeds. Just don't eat a bunch and you're fine. Actually, there's arsenic in your body all the time.
No wonder. He says that because they're on COVID restrictions courts. Plus, you're in Oregon, so everything's slower there.
Oh, yeah, that would make sense.
I forgot about that. You're right.
I'm sure your jails are having a great time.
That's when you'd be glad you work in the prosecutor's office, not the...
Well, the prison isn't getting a lot of new people.
No,
or at least
the county jails
aren't.
that are a mess.
At least when my husband works at the prison, they keep sending people back to county.
They're like, no, we don't want them.
Well, because they keep sending people to the prison with fevers.
Oh, no.
And the prison's like, no. We're not getting that crap in here. Take them back. You can send them when they're clean.
Clean?
Well, don't have a fever.
I know. I just think it sounds funny because I think that sounds like drug issues. And I'm
right.
Like, good luck.
Not drug issues.
Anyway. How are you guys doing now that we've gotten on some really weird tangents today?
This is what happens when we don't have as many instructions. I know. I mean, this is a typical Lori Holt block, as in there are a zillion pieces.
Yes, but I love them.
I love a zillion pieces. I mean, this could be done smaller and simpler and yada yada yada. So what? I think they're a great project to challenge yourself on. I mean, but I'm somebody who likes to challenge. And honestly, that's the way to learn how to do anything. If you only do what you know and what you're good at, then that's all you'll ever know how to do. So I think there's a lot to be said for picking something that you know is a challenge, that maybe it's out of your repertoire. It's not something you're necessarily comfortable with. And, you know, if you'll do that, then you can learn something new.
Which is fun.
Which is totally fun. I'm going to go ahead and sew this off so that you can press it. Because actually, I want to do this one,
the next one
first. Because then we can attach it to our star block. Guys, I tend to like count down seams. We've talked about this, right? And I'm looking right now and I'm like 4 seams away from done.
I know. It doesn't look like it, but it's really close.
Mm-hmm.
I tell people I count seams and they look at me funny.
I used to do that when I was like running half marathons and marathon and stuff. And even like in the tries, I would count down and I had fractions. And like I'm like 4/52, 50 thirds of the way done, or something stupid. That's not really a fraction. I said I couldn't say 4/52 because I hadn't reduced it, and that was going to make me nuts. Because that would be 1/13, which would be about 1 mile.
She's a dork.
Mm-hmm. But that was one of the like mental games I had, was to do fractions.
I would have to admit I do the same thing when I'm running.
Uh-huh.
But I don't run half marathons or anything like that because I'm not crazy.
But it's something that translates over into sewing. Even though it's something I'm enjoying, I kind of figure out what I have left and
then get finished.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. I put these here, you guys. We got a fun new line of fabric in yesterday.
Like late afternoon, so it's brand new.
This is from Heather Peterson for Riley Blake. It's, if you've seen her brand, it's called Anka's Treasures. Her last line that we brought in did amazingly well. This one is called Shades of Summer. And it's got her same super saturated, very bright florals.
Very saturated. Love it.
So much color. And I'm super excited about it. And Riley Blake has started this new thing. And this makes me so happy.
Right. This is a total win, Riley Blake.
Because, as we all know, layer cakes tend to start getting kind of floppy and things like that. And so they have theirs packaged, but when they're packaged, you know, you can't look in, you can't see all the different fabrics. Well, you guys, they got smart. Look at that. There's all the different fabrics that are in this package on the back. Like, I don't know why that took so long from somebody, but it was brilliant.
Right.
So, way to go, Riley Blake.
You win.
But, this is super fun. There's also 3 fat quarter panels with this one again. So, this is the fat quarter bundle. There's 12 more fabrics that are on panels. And, to add to it. She's got a new pattern book for it, too.
Which is so cute. There's a
It's
wildflower sampler that I am going to make. Because it's gorgeous.
Anyway, I did her Superstar one last time. And anyway.
I know. I didn't get to play with her last line of fabric.
It kind of went out the door too fast.
Right, it kind of did. So I'm going to go ahead and play with this line
But
of
this
fabric,
is very similar, almost brighter. So we're kind of we were excited to see it show up.
It's very cheery. We're going to put it right here at the front. We already started reorganizing the shop, so just when you thought you knew where things were,
You didn't.
you didn't, because we're getting new stuff. So it's going to be front and center when you walk in,
Which one
so
did
you
you want
can
on the
see
top?
the bright and cheery. Tractors go on top.
Everybody knows that one.
Well, and all the lettering is going in the same direction, so if that goes the wrong way, it's a problem. Are we matching or no?
Not really.
Well, we'll make it work.
We're gonna fudge this a little bit.
Honestly, I might have been sewing a little wide on these strips.
That's what it looks like. That's okay.
That happens. Partly because sewing standing up is not fun.
It does not promote accuracy.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't really help with accuracy at all. But that's okay, because there's always a little bit of fudging that we can
We're
do.
gonna lose a couple of points, but that's gonna be alright.
It'll be okay.
Anyway. Oh.
So, anyway, but see this right here is the. I want to show you guys. See this center part of the sparkler should line up with
Right there with this.
part of your stripes. So if you want a center
Depending
point,
on the wrong side.
sorry, if you want a center point on that matches, because those were both cut to the same size and now they're in the same place, that's a good place to match your center
If you're gonna have to fudge.
if you're gonna have to fudge at all. And I mean, you might. I find myself doing a little more fudging with Lori blocks than others, not because Lori was wrong at all in her cutting instructions, but because the more pieces you have to sew together, the more opportunities you have to get off. And if you are a 32nd of an inch off, or even a 64th of an inch off over and over and over and over again,
Then you end up off.
you're gonna end up, you know, half an inch off. And you're gonna say, how did that happen? Because you were never sewed half an inch off.
And you didn't.
So that kind of stuff happens. And it happens a lot with sewing stripes too, because being just a little wide each time. Now guys, because I know I'm kind of easing things in, I am going to sew over my pins. But when I do that, I do it very, very
Do it slowly.
slowly.
So you don't break the machine.
It's just too easy, even with my fine silk little pins, for the needle to hit it just right, bend it into a V, and shove it down into that bobbin casing and cause real damage. So the inclination is to pin and fly, and I don't like that idea, because it's just, in my opinion, asking for trouble. Now this is only because I have destroyed a sewing machine by sewing over a pin. I mean, I say destroyed because it was an inexpensive, newer sewing machine, and the repair cost 75% of what the machine cost in the first place. And I don't like doing that. And for those of you with fancier machines, you know the fancier the machine, more expensive to
it
repair.
is to fix it.
So,
Okay, but I will tell you, I'm gonna press this all to one side.
yep, that's going to one side. Partly because
it's easier.
points tend to like to be pressed away from. And
Yeah.
so where there's absolutely no reason to press back into that point.
And because I press the stripes open, I'm not creating a ton of bulk by going this way.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So
even though I'm a general open presser, there are times when to the side makes more sense.
Right.
Or, anyway, like I said, just make it make sense.
I like to tell people I press whichever way it wants to go.
Yes.
If I were to just gently put my fingers on it, which way does it want to go to lay flat? I mean, and sometimes that is to the side, but I want to adjust it and do it open because I know what's coming. But that's my rule for pressing. Press it however you want, especially when it comes to assembly, which way it wants to go. A lot of times, if you see pressing instructions in a pattern, just follow them because they are there for a reason. It takes time to add all those arrows and words, and a pattern writer is not going to take the time to format that and put it in there if
They don't think
it doesn't mean anything. So sometimes it seems trivial which way it tells you to press it at a time, and then later on down as you're assembling, you understand why they wanted you to press one way or another. So, you know, generally press how you want unless told otherwise, really.
Yeah. Well, I've had people tell me they do Lori's blocks, and they're like, I refuse to press open. And I'm like, and then they're like, why can't I get this accurate? I'm like, because you refuse to press open.
Right.
Okay, so
you can't ignore the instructions from the designer and then complain that they're not accurate.
So what you're gonna see is that our bottom pieces are hanging out a little bit. When I looked at how the piece was working out, I wanted it to match the star.
Right.
The edge of the star more than the edge of the stripes because that's really easy to score off.
This I can trim off at the end of the day.
But if I trim off the star, I lose points.
Right.
So when it came to which direction am I going to hang off a little bit, rather than stretching the heck out of the fabric, because that's not a great idea.
I mean, and this is less than 1/8 of an inch, so it's not like it would have been a lot of stretching.
But I didn't want to stretch it to death.
It is unnecessary stretching. Now that being said, if you're planning to put this into a quilt and you need it to be that size, then you can do the adjusting. But because I'm planning to turn this into a pillow,
it doesn't need it.
It doesn't need it.
I can make it whatever size I want it to be.
You know, and you know, you might have seen this if you've ever done a jelly roll race,
Marilyn.
You know the ones that they want to have you just sew jelly roll to
sew
jelly
all
roll,
the
and then
strips
you're like,
together, and then you have
why
to...
is it looking like this, or why are my edges wonky? It's because they're, huh?
Oh yay! I'm so excited.
She's interrupting.
Oh yeah, sorry.
But that's a lot of times what that is, and so, you know, if I'm doing like jelly roll strips all in a row to, you know, then cut and turn into something, I'll pick one end that everything starts from. Match everything at that end. Ideally, and I don't expect you to do this because nobody does, you take your jelly roll, open it, press it, starch it, and cut it all to 42 inches long so they're all uniform. That's in an ideal world. That being said, I have never done that, and I don't know anybody that does. So, because we're not usually that willing to jump into forcing accuracy there.
Yeah. No, that would be really cute. Tell that, I agree. That'd be a cute block. If you took the star block and like hung the stripes from it.
Oh yeah.
Kind of like the. In fact, Robin Pickens has a pattern kind of
love.
like that. It's called Showering Stars.
That's what I get for using an incomplete bobbin. Guys, my bobbin ran out with like 6 inches to go. Because life. Okay, you repin that. I'm gonna wind 10 inches of thread on a bobbin. Actually, I'm not. You wanna know why? I've got the other way bobbins over here with a ton of thread on them.
I think you could wind one faster.
Nope.
Okay, she's gonna refuse. Okay, I'm gonna repin this because I didn't already do that. Anyway, no, just anytime you're working with long strips, it's
just in my way.
a lesson to learn. It's just You need to clean the lint out of your machine.
I know. My machine needs a good spa day.
How come there's bobbin thread on that?
I don't know. It's leftover. Do.
Here we go.
Alright,
Do your
now
6
we'll
inches.
finish it because that's how bobbin chicken works.
Bobbin chicken.
Sometimes you lose. Do you ever play bobbin chicken?
I
Or
call it
thread
root
chicken?
bite. Yes.
You know, when there's just a little bit left on your spool up here and you're like, can I get to the end? Can I get to the end? I don't
Yes.
know. Maybe I can't.
Alright.
You know, really the worst part about sewing without thread is unpinning as you go and then having to pin again.
And because you already did the work once. Right?
Alright, I'm going to go ahead and leave a tail because I'm going to
Take that bobbin out.
take the bobbin out
Okay,
because it's not
so
mine.
same thing on this guy, guys. This
This
is
guy,
the
guys.
one long strip. I'm going to press
To the
one
side.
direction. To the side.
And it's because she
Because
doesn't
I've
want
got
to
the
press it back
stars.
on the star.
Okay? So we got one long strip and it's just going to go to the side because so it just makes the most sense to me. Do yours however you want.
Great, your block. Do what
You're
you
the
want.
boss. You do your thing. I'm going to do mine this way.
Oh my goodness, I love it.
Seriously, this is such a cute block. I love this block, you guys.
I've been wanting to make it since like last summer. But you know, I'm busy.
Ta-da!
Isn't it cute?
It's such a cute little flag, and I love the star. I love the scrappy little. Yeah, hi. Liz loves low volumes.
Right. If you don't know what low volume is, it's this white here.
It's
acts
something
as
that
white,
reads
but
as
it's
a
not
white,
pure
but
white.
it's not white because it has some small print in it or something, and it reads as a solid without having to be solid. So it's more fun, right? To me. Anyway, there's our flag. Make
Feel free
yours.
to
I'd
make
love
one.
to see them. Tag us in it.
We'll go ahead and get some little kits together on that. I don't know what the price is going to be yet because
No,
I
we
haven't
gotta figure it out.
Because this was made out of stuff in my sewing room last night.
But we have it all here. So
Right, we've got it all. So we will get those together and
we'll let you
get
know.
them on the website. We've got to put the shop back together so we can open in 25 minutes.
Oh, good night.
Isn't that fun? We get to open. I love being open.
That's nice. It's true. Guys,
So much nicer being open.
So much better.
All right, so we will
See
talk to
you.
you later. We'll
And
be
like I
back
said-
next Wednesday. Ooh, so next Wednesday's live, this is going to be fun. Our free pattern for June is going to be a cute little box bag. And our live will go over how to make that.
Yay!
So we'll do a zipper because people love zippers.
And tiny flying geese.
And tiny flying geese. It's going to be great. All right, we'll see you next Wednesday.